Hi, hello there. My name is Gudrun from Gudrun Crochet and welcome today to my second podcast episode. So hi, welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Gudrun. I am a knitter from Belgium and I've been knitting for about 4 years. And I started this YouTube channel a few months ago. And today I have a little podcast episode for you. So my last podcast episode was, I think, at the end of November, kind of, middle of November maybe. And I had, at that time, I think I had maybe 2 finished objects, maybe. I had 2 whips and I think I had 1 acquisition. That acquisition is a whip now, and one of those finished objects, no, one of those whips I have with me as a finished object, and the other whip was a gift, so I don't have that anymore. I'll start off with what I'm wearing. This is my festival sweater by petiteknit that I made about a year ago. And this white yarn was gifted to me. The red yarn was leftover yarn from an old project. I'll put like all the yarns and patterns in the description down below. And let's get started. So as I said, one of the finished objects I don't have with me anymore. It was a sweater from my boyfriend. I'll see if I have a picture of or a clip of it somewhere on my phone. It was the Assisi sweater by cookietheknitter, and I made it in holst garn coast held double, but obviously I don't have that with me anymore, so I will quickly get on to the next project, which is a bit more exciting because I have it with me. This is it's not a big finished object, but anyway, this is the Rombscarf by, I think her name is Ida Hed Myrberg. You can see it has some creases because it has been folded up. I've also worn it a bit already. Before blocking, this looked horrendous. It was like all wavy, like in this direction, because the edges, they're not I-cord, but they're double knit. So they were pulling everything in, but after blocking and pinning it down, that really worked. I'll show the patterning here. I don't have the best lighting today, I'm sorry. It's a very gray day here in Belgium. It's a very rainy day, as you can see, like from my hair, these little fluffs. That's because I have been outside today and my main mode of transportation is cycling. And in this weather, whatever you do, you're gonna have some rain that gets underneath your rain cap. So I'm sorry for the hair situation today. But yes, I actually really like this scarf because, as you can see, it's not like a full-on shawl or long scarf. It is something in between that and a tiny scarf. So I usually put it on like this and then either leave it like this or tie it and then just like pull it a bit like that. Pull my hair over. There we go. So it gives kind of like the coverage of what a turtleneck sweater would give. It's also not that thick, it's just like a singular layer here. But personally for me this is perfect because a big ass scarf is not gonna fit under my rain jackets, but if I wear it on top it's gonna get wet and I won't be able to properly close my hood. So this is very easy because I can wear it underneath. And also for that like in between weather where you want something covering your neck but it's too warm to have a big scarf with you, this is just perfect. And I do feel like I have enough length to put a little knot in here, because I feel like with some tiny scarves then the ends are like sticking like that because they're too short. So I really like this. I wouldn't go shorter though, like the whole tiny scarf trend. I think this is the shortest that I would do, but I see the functionality of having a tiny scarf and I really do love this one. It was a free pattern, by the way, which was fully charted. And when I say fully charted, I mean from the first row to the last row, there is a chart for every single row with all the increases with the patterning on it. It is amazing. Now, I was unable to memorize both the patterning and the decreases, so I did have to look at the pattern like all throughout the scarf. Maybe some people might be able to memorize it. I didn't, but it was very nice, definitely for a free pattern. I think this was definitely worth it. And I think like the Sophie scarf has an I-cord on the edge. This is double knit. I do prefer this. I think this is a much more comfortable way for me to work. And I think if I ever want a tiny scarf, I'm not gonna be buying the Sophie scarf pattern. I'm just gonna use this and then add a different stitch in the middle if I want to. But this is extremely pretty. I really, really like this. So yeah, that's it for finished objects. A scarf and a sweater I don't have, but my whips are a bit more exciting. I'll start with my biggest and my main whip, which was an acquisition, like the yarn was an acquisition in the previous podcast episode, which is my Dagmar zipper sweater. This is a pattern by petiteknit. She has a Dagmar sweater, a Dagmar jacket, I think, or cardigan, and then the zipper sweater. It is an all-over cabled, or almost all-over cabled sweater with honeycomb cables in the middle, some diamond cables, and then this is a 1x1 cable, a tiny one. I am working a little bit under gauge for this. My yarn should be a good gauge to get the gauge of the pattern. I think I'm using BC Garn Loch Lomond, which I think has the same stitch gauge, and the row gauge was like 1 row less than what the recommended yarn had, so I figured, oh, it's gonna be fine. But I was unable to stretch my gauge swatch to be 10 centimeters without it looking weird, so I decided to size up. So I'm normally a size small. I'm now knitting a size medium. This is a very oversized sweater normally, so I figured it would be fine. At this moment in time, if I put this on, I do feel like it's going to be small, but we're gonna trust the knitting gods and hope that after blocking it will be fine. So as you can see, I finished the body. I am very close to finishing the first sleeve. And then I finished the whole collar and stuff, and it has a little pocket to sew the zipper into, but it's hard to see because I didn't weave in my ends, so just imagine they're not there. One thing though, the explanation for the double knitted band and stuff and everything around the zipper, if you just read the pattern, I was confused. It's not written unclearly, it's just a bit difficult to know when you just first read it. I looked up a YouTube video, I will put that in the description down below, of a lovely lady who was also knitting this sweater, who fully filmed every single step that she did of that. I looked at her video once and then I was able to properly understand the pattern. And she made one modification that I also decided to do. So, short explanation, you start off by picking up for the ripped stitches for the folded over collar. You knit that until you have the correct length, and then you put those stitches on hold so you don't fold it over yet. You then pick up stitches everywhere around that collar that is then not folded over yet, all the way here down and then all the way up again. And then you start at the bottom, so here, and you start double knitting. First a few rows where you do both sides, and then like one side all the way up and then the other side also all the way up. You then fold over the collar, and petiteknit makes you cast off your double knitted stitches right before you fold over the collar. But that would mean that this part of the zipper would be fully covered inside and out, but that this part would not. And with the zipper sweater, if you're gonna be opening it, like the inside is also gonna be visible of the lower end. And that lady that had showed what she did, she also added a extended double knitted band downwards. And I also did that. So I have a full pocket for my zipper all the way down. Now, I don't know how you have to sew in a zipper. I have never done that before. I'm also not the greatest sewist. So we will see how that goes. If it is not the cleanest sewing ever, definitely on the inside, it's not a big deal. I just hope that this will make it a bit less obvious. But yes, that is my only big modification that I did to the pattern. For the rest, I am knitting it pretty much to pattern, except of course for the gauge. Yeah, that's all I have to say about this. I started this on the 1st of December. We are now the 14th of January. So this is not a fast project for me because of the cables. But I am still enjoying this, but I don't know how much I will enjoy the second sleeve. We will see. Anyways, so that's my main whip. That's what I'm working on pretty much every single evening. And I also have a different whip because for New Year's, I was gonna be celebrating it with a friend and we were gonna be knitting. We didn't only knit, we just also knit a little bit. And this one, I need to think about this one while I'm knitting it. And I had just gotten to a point that I had finished the body and had started working on the collar, and I wanted to have the collar finished first before I did the sleeves. And the collar, as I said, it's not the clearest thing ever, and I didn't want to do that when I was with someone else because I needed full focus. So I cast on something new, as one does. I had yarn that I had unraveled some yarn actually from a very old project. I made a video about that where I frogged 3 old things. And I am using that yarn held together with a lace-weight merino to knit the Clematis sweater Chunky by Emmasknits. It is not looking amazing right now, but yeah, so it's a sweater with like a diagonal button band opening, so it resembles a cardigan, but you wear it as a sweater. You cannot put it on like a cardigan. So yeah, I already made the Clematis sweater, like the regular one. Love that one. I wear it so much. I get so many compliments on it when I make it. So I figured I would probably also like the chunky version. So yes, I think my tension in this yarn, it's not it. So I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, you can tell that my tension isn't the same everywhere. And it looks a bit more unclean because my 2 yarns are not exactly the same color. Again, I'm sorry for the lighting, but I think you can see this one is a lot more brighter and this is a bit more wine red almost. No, it's too red for that, but you know what I mean. So it gives a bit of a marled effect, and that in combination of my stitches not being the cleanest. Maybe it's because the thick yarn is cotton, I don't use it that much. But I do feel it doesn't look the cleanest. I'm hoping that blocking will kind of fix that. But we will see. And so this, I worked on it on New Year's, and then I'm just like working on it in between if I'm getting sick of the cables for a bit. And now I'm just working on the body, which is knit flat because of the bottom band. So I'm not just breezing through it. I also have to purl, and I also have to count which row I am on to know when to increase and decrease for these slanted bottom band. But this is a very fun pattern. I also recommended it to my friend who just started knitting because it looks more complicated than it is. But the stitches that are in this is something that any beginner knitter that has knit a sweater before can do. And I think this is a good step after your first simple sweater, where you try a bit more of a complicated design. You have a bit more that you have to think about with the button band. The whole yoke situation it's not difficult, but you do have to be a bit focused and you need to have good pattern reading skills. And I think this is a very good thing to learn that without just only knitting basic sweaters. So yes. Any beginners or like beginners that have knit a sweater already, I think you can make this and it would be a nice little challenge. So that's it already for my whips. I do have some acquisitions. My first acquisitions are Christmas presents. I'll start with the one that I got from my mom. She got me, it's in like a little pouch, so very fancy. She got me a knitting light. Now I haven't used it yet because I've just been knitting at home mostly and I've had decent lighting. But you can put it around your neck, and then I have 2 lights. So I think this is the brightest setting. And then I can put both like on smaller lights. And I feel like if you put on one light, like that, it gets a really, really focused area of light, and the parts around it not, which I think is very nice, so you're not lighting up the entire room and just you're knitting. And the bonus is that this is rechargeable, so it's not with batteries, which is better for the planet, but also better for me, because if something works on batteries and I have to think about replacing it, all my mind is really thinking when I'm using it is like, oh my god, I'm using up the battery, and I will have to buy a new battery and place that in there, and then I won't use it as much. Whereas if I can just charge it, then I will use it as much as I want. As you can see, I have not charged it yet. It just came charged already, and so far it didn't need an extra charge yet. Next is a present that my boyfriend's mother gave me. Very, very nice. And this is a knitting bag from Hobby with a matching pouch. My needle set fits in there perfectly in combination with the lights. So I don't have my needle set with me, but I can also put that in here and then close it, and like some other small notions. So it's a perfect size for a pouch. And then the bag, you can easily wear it crossbody, and I can fit a sweater in there because I brought this with me when it didn't have a sleeve yet, but I had a lot of space left over. So I'm very, very happy with this, because before this I only had like a very small project bag where I could not fit a sweater in there. And now I can, and I can even bring some notions with me. So that's very nice. The big bag also has like a side pocket, but that doesn't have a zipper. So, but it's very nice to put your balls of yarn into so they don't get messed up with the project itself. So yes, very happy with that. Now for my next acquisition, I have to go out of frame for a bit because I didn't grab it yet. I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so that friend that had recently started knitting messaged me a bit ago that she was gonna order some yarn to knit a baby blanket, and she asked if I needed any yarn from that website. And I'm actually planning to knit that same baby blanket because someone in my family is pregnant, which is very exciting. And for that I got the drops safran, which is 100% cotton yarn. I got this because you can machine wash it, and because the baby is getting born in June or July, which means it will be born in the summer, and giving a warm blanket seems out of place. I think this can also be used as like a cover for the sun. Now, as you can tell, it's blue. I do not know the gender of the baby, so blue is a dangerous choice. However, the blanket that I want to knit is like a blanket with clouds on it. I don't remember the name. I will put the name on here. And I just feel like blue is really fitting for that. So we're gonna do it anyway, and if it's a girl, she's gonna have a blue blanket with clouds on it. I don't think anyone's gonna mind. And I got 6 skeins of this, so should be enough meterage. Yeah, I think it's very, very cute, and it will be my first time ever knitting a blanket. My friend already started it, and it's on 3.5mm needles, and it's going very slow apparently, so I will have to start this in time. I don't think I should wait until like May or something, because then I'm gonna be like very stressed about it. So I think I will start this when I have finished one of my 2 projects that I already have, because I don't want more than 2 whips at once. It stresses me out. Anyways, that was it for today. I don't know when I will do my next knitting podcast, probably when I have at least 1 finished object, a new whip, and maybe an acquisition, but I'm not sure that I will have an acquisition in the foreseeable time, because I do have some yarn already laying here and some projects in mind for that yarn. So that was it for now. That was it for my second podcast episode. If you're still here, thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you liked it, maybe like and subscribe. That would really help me. And then all that I have left to say is I hope you have a wonderful day and happy knitting. Bye!